Now that's fair. Second man, good take, you know what? Then move again, you know. Some nigga boys that one got text with my next you. Batman, nigga Batman. And I fool it up, yeah man. So that's what get back. In a new style, in a new fashion. Take this.
Yes, yes, this is Moma from the podcast, RVF podcast, with my co-host,
Rude boy.
and we got a special guest today by the name of.
Superman,
Yeah,
also known as Journey of Superman.
yes, yes. So I've read your stuff in the past, and I'm sure you'll go into who you are and so on and so forth. I've read and partaken in some of your media, so I definitely, I definitely have some awareness of you. And there was, an application that you did that I thought was interesting. But what brought you really to mind, into recent mind, is that we did an interview recently with Incredible, and he was in a bind in Asia, in HK, Hong Kong to be exact, and he said that he reached out to you and you were able to get him out of that situation. So I thought that was pretty awesome, and Traveler Kai was actually gave you a point because he thought that was really, thinking on your feet. But yeah, Rude Boy, you have any mentions?
Mentions. No.
As in, yeah. Okay. All right. Yes, yes. So,
Superman, just tell us a bit about yourself, your background, where you've been, your mindset, game, and all that good stuff. Just introduction. Right. So, my background is East African, and I've lived all over the world. As a baby, I lived in England. My dad was doing his studies over there. And then right now, I live in America, on the East Coast. In terms of my style of game, it kind of varies. Earlier, I was really into the daytime stuff because I was underage and I was a youngin. So after I paid my dues, I basically kind of graduated from that. Ended up now more into the online game and traveling. In terms of where I've been to Dominican Republic, Brazil for the World Cup. I've been to places over in the States, New York City, which is my favorite, as well as Vegas, LA, Florida, Miami, Orlando, DC, Texas, all over the place.
oh, okay, cool. Yes, I can hear you. Um, you said you said you said England. How long were you? What part of England were you
in Loughborough.
Loughborough.
I know what that is.
Yes.
Middle of nowhere.
Yeah, Loughborough. I mean Loughborough Junction. That comes to mind, but I think that might be just
there's a university by that name.
Yeah. Is it a sports uni, if I recall, or no? I think they specialize more, like if you're into PE and all them type of things. That's a really good university for that. Because I went there to do some research for one of my friends, one of his dissertations, because he was hooking me up with the pounds. I had to help him out with that. But yeah, so you did England, you've been to DR, Brazil, Vegas, and so on and so forth. Do you have a favorite out of those cities that you've been to?
Yeah, New York City and Vegas by far my favorite spots. Like, I mean, the hype is real. Like New York City, I've never been to a place where there's so many girls and they're so pretty. Cause I'm actually from the East Coast area, not New York City, but when I went to New York City, I was pretty shocked because the girls were twice as hot and twice as easy. So for me, that was basically pussy paradise. And then Vegas is a spot for glamorous girls. So if you're really into the porn star type girls, the girls with the big tits and the fake tits or whatever, Vegas is your spot. Because I've never banged so many girls with fake tits anywhere else than Vegas.
Are they so were they easier to take down than the others? Because they got big tits in Miami, but you need a certain level in Miami to get with them.
I mean, Vegas was, I would say, fairly easy. I mean, like, not as easy as New York was, but they're fairly easy.
Okay. So they've got a hookup culture in Vegas that you definitely say in New York as well, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of that party atmosphere.
Where did you stay in Vegas and party?
I was staying at the New York hotel on the
Nice.
strip.
I hear the clubs are
I
pretty
was there for
expensive.
work, so I wasn't really. I mean, yeah, because when I traveled for work, so I've been to Marquee, Light, but this is more like traveling with work and my company like buys a table and shit, you know? So it's kind of not really level playing field in a way. But
Oh, okay.
Vegas is fun. Those are the perks of the life after you've paid your dues.
Okay. You sound pretty young though. Are you under 30?
Yeah, I'm 26.
Okay.
I like that because you're on the level already, and I hope the younger guys listening can definitely take from the fact. Because as I said, I've read your stuff in the past, and I've partaken in your media. And for me, media shows that person's not bullshitting. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
anyone can write something. Like you could copy and paste, or just write a fantastic fictional tale. But the video, I saw the New York video, I saw
Right.
DR. So end the story as far as I'm concerned. So definitely that you as a young guy doing your thing, you've been around. That's
Yeah, in
very
terms of the
admirable.
media, I have to give a shout out to my boy Solo, the soloist. He's the one who inspired me to start doing videos because he also used to blog and he would do like this infield videos with the music videos or whatever of just like his times in the field. So that kind of inspired me to start doing videos and basically documenting my journey. So that's how I got into that.
So you now use. Do you find that you said you use online game primarily? Do you find that the quality? Because me and Rude Boy we've spoken about that a little bit earlier, and Rude Boy is not necessarily a fan of it in North America. Feels that the yield is low, especially if one is an older guy. Maybe for the younger crowd, it's cool.
I mean,
Do you find it that the yield is decent enough to give it a shot? Because I basically used to get a lot of fatties, oldies with kiddies.
yeah, it's basically all about marketing and what market you're in. Because for me, before that, I used to hate online game. So I used to hate sites like Plenty of Fish, OkCupid, Tinder. You know, I haven't really had much success with them, especially being a black guy, because they aren't really conducive for us black guys. So I kind of really didn't bother with online game much. And when I did, I would try to optimize it and make it as efficient as possible. So I came up with like this different online dating hacks, like the one for OkCupid, where I would go through and basically play the quick match game every second or whatever. Then you'd wake up with a whole bunch of matches. But even the quality for that wasn't really that good. So it wasn't until I found out there were these other sites where you could find hotter girls, and these were basically like the higher end dating sites. So like the seeking arrangement sites. I've done a millionaire match, surprisingly, even though I'm not a millionaire. Yeah. Then what else? All these other sites, basically where girls are trying to find like, are basically trying to be like trophy wives and trying to find rich guys. So I found that actually those sites they're much better in terms of my ROI, and I found those from the forums. So, for example, like I think the average ratio on that site is 8 girls for every one guy. You know, so with a playing field like that, it's a lot easier, and it is definitely a lot more quality.
Is that your portion now? Is that your main portion? Is those type of sites?
Yeah, I would say that's basically my entire portion now. You know,
How
because it's just too much to satisfy me. Like in the last year or so, I've been on over 100 dates. I've smashed over 60 girls just from those sites. You know, so I don't really have time to even focus on anything else because I'm just doing all this other stuff. Like I'm traveling for work, I'm doing my own company, and all this other stuff.
it makes sense? How do you, if you care to relate, how you actually spinning, because I'm guessing it's a sugar daddy hack pretty much. How do you care to relay your any of your techniques, or is that something you prefer to
Um,
hold?
I could potentially do it, I guess.
I mean, if you don't want to, that's fine. I'm just curious. So it's really, you
So
know.
basically, I just sat down, read the thread on the forum, went to try it out at first. And at first, it wasn't really working. I was kind of facing the same things I was facing on other dating sites, like girls not wanting to meet up with black guys from online. Then I was just able to kind of somehow hack it. I hacked it in when I went to Tampa. It was the Tampa triple double, I called it. So I basically have this philosophy, not really philosophy, but this I guess trademark name, triple double. That's when you smash three girls in one night. So that's where things just kind of unraveled. I just found out that you have to qualify the girls heavily, sell the dream. Like my whole philosophy is very ruthless. I'm not really a white knight, you know. I'm more of a dark prince, you know. Yeah, because
Oh,
you
that's
know,
good. That's good.
because I guess you could say I've gone through so many ups and downs. I know how brutal the game can be, especially on these dating sites. You can't really go in there trying to be nice because these girls will take advantage of you. But anyway, so my method is to pipeline and have as many girls lined up per day. Usually, I try to have like if it's just me traveling, like about four slots for four girls. Then I have like backups for for those girls. So if the girls flakes, I have backups, and then I just kind of I guess spread the dates out by 2 to 2.5 hours apart. That's kind of my game when I travel, and I basically just sell girls' dreams. You know, I basically look at their profile, see what they want, and just kind of sell them the dream. You know,
do you
it's
have
kind of
to
like
do you have to sell the dream in a realistic sense to any degree? Because if they think you're a millionaire, they're going to expensive bars and getting you to order expensive shots, or how? I mean, how's that
uh,
working?
yeah. So I mean, sometimes that happens, but I have like principles. So for example, I only have girls come to me. I don't go to the girls. So that's easier for me. So there's less of an investment. So usually when I'm staying in a hotel, I always get hotels that have bars in the lobby. So that way I have girls meet me in the lobby. So for example, I have a girl meet me at 6, and we go there. We usually grab one drink, and within half an hour, I know whether or not it's on. So after about half an hour, I try to bounce her back upstairs. That's kind of my principle. Then I bounce her back, and I basically just run the same exact escalation game on them.
Wow. Do you buy appetizers?
I mean, sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. You know, like actually, so actually, the funny thing is sometimes I travel with my boy, right? And we share a hotel room, so we just get a room with double beds, and we'll basically just like alternate slots. So I'll have the 6 p.m. slot with my girl, and he'll have the 8 p.m. slot. Then I have a girl at 10 p.m. Then we have a girl at midnight. So we basically have like 2 hours to like operate. Otherwise, we have to get out the room and have the next guy go in the room with this girl. So that actually has been pretty cool because it forces me to basically shrink down my game to be as efficient as possible because I'm basically working with a shot clock. You know, so I basically can't really waste time. So the times that I've ended up buying drinks is when I'm trying to stall because my buddy's upstairs with this girl trying to finish up. You know, so sometimes I'll buy appetizer or drinks, but usually when I'm traveling, I'm on per diem, so my company gives me money to travel with. So that usually
Nice, nice.
doesn't really hurt me as much. But when I do it in my my hometown or whatever, then usually I just meet them near a bar nearby. We go there. At the worst, I'll grab food or whatever and drinks. Then I bounce them back. So I actually have this place over in my hometown. I call it the Love Hotel because it's an apartment solely just for fucking. You know, so I basically use it for dates. Me and my other wing, we share the cost, the monthly rent, and we basically go there for dates. And the times we aren't taking girls there, we put it up on Airbnb and make money off of it. So
Oh,
it's actually ended up becoming an investment for us.
yeah. Is that the place where you also your other thing that you do the thing there? Because I think you mentioned that. Is that the place that you kind of do your other thing? You know, your side venture. You take people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So a while
Okay.
back, I used to actually also film stuff there. I used to kind of use it as a film studio,
Yeah.
but it's just one apartment, one bedroom apartment. But it's
Nice.
just easier to expense and stuff as a business expense. It's an office, so that helps out.
With a bed, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that mentality. And the best thing is that you don't actually live there, so
yeah.
the lizards can't get silly because you basically aren't there all the time. So it's a very you've made it very systematic, and I actually like that. You know what I mean? You've been I think your engineer background has enabled you to really
Yeah.
really what I mean systemize the entire thing and just make it efficient. So you're definitely giving me ideas there. Definitely giving me
It's giving
ideas
me a
there.
lot of ideas, and maybe I have to start looking at
Boy,
the right
you were
dates.
chatting about one of your boys, Rude Boy. You and him should pitch in on something and just what I mean work Toronto to the
I was thinking the
bird
same
it
way.
down.
Like I don't know why I didn't do it earlier. I mean, because like, it was probably because I was broke. But after I had a job, I just saw it as an easy way to do it. Just forget a place, have somebody else pitch in. Whether it's two guys or three guys, then you guys can share the place. Each month you pay the rent. Then you also put it up on sites like Airbnb and then make some money back on it.
Are you rented or you own it? You said.
I rented actually, so I
Oh,
rented
okay,
and
okay.
I sub rented on or sublet it on Airbnb. So that
And,
was easier for me.
Like
and
it's
with Airbnb, you get a few hits every month, or
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because I've made profit every single month this year. Because this year I haven't really used it much because I've been traveling so much. So I'm making like about 300 or 400 profit each month from the
wow,
site, and
wow.
that's from renting it out for about 3 out of the 4 weeks
Oh,
in
wow.
a month. So I use two sites. I use Airbnb and this other one is called HomeAway and VRBO, Vacation Rent by Owner.
homo ways.
Yeah, HomeAway.
Oh man, you're trolling this guy, man.
I'm joking.
You're
Yeah, but it's pretty cool because actually a funny story. Airbnb is a whole different thing because the first time I used it was actually when I went to Brazil in Rio. We ended up booking some guy's apartment in Rio because all the hotels were booked out for the World Cup. So I ended up taking a girl back there and ended up messing up his seats. So that was kind of awkward, you know.
oh wow.
But that's what happens on sites like Airbnb. Just kind of give you a heads up.
Okay, so basically, each month you're not only is the rent been taken care of, but you're actually able to you and your friend are able to put $300 to $400 in your pocket, not counting for the rent that's totally been neutralized. Am I correct?
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
That's great, man. That's great. So you really just you're just playing on in the green right now. That's excellent. That's excellent.
Yeah. I'm
You're
playing with
getting
house money.
yeah, pretty much. So,
Wow.
have you got any destinations that you plan to go to in the near future? Or actually, there were some questions that were posed by some members in the forums. I guess they wanted to talk about wins and losses. Were those questions, Rude Boy, applied to all of us or to
Yeah, we can all
Superman?
answer that. That was from West Indian Archie. I think he was directed at you and myself, but I mean, everybody here can answer that. So I guess the question was, you know, a situation where you didn't get the layup, and I guess situations where you got the layup. I guess the dates and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So wins and losses in terms of dates or girls I've dated or whatever.
I guess in terms of
Yeah.
the slam, like successes and failures, because a lot of guys, I think we try to bring a realistic approach to. We're not bringing a super fantastic tale of I'm some Casanova that every city that I get to, my sword, what I mean, lays down the entire place with 100% batting ratio. Most of them are losses,
Right.
but it's a
Right.
mentality that one is always in the game. And I lose more than I win, but it's not really about percentages in that sense to me. It's just about constantly playing. It's like You know,
Being in the game, I think.
yeah, like
Yeah,
Allen
yeah,
Iverson, Michael Jordan, they're going out to score 30 points. Whether if they score it on a 56% field goal night, great. But if they're shooting 43%, they're still going to keep taking shots till they come off with their 30 points. So that's kind of how I look at it. One night, I might, what I mean, I might go out. I've gone out last year, and pretty much the second hit was a success. But I've gone out and nothing. You know what I mean? So, but the whole point is not to take it as this and that. It's just part of the game. So I guess that's what they want to
right.
go on about,
Okay.
and yeah, lend to that.
Okay, so I kind of have, I guess, two stories for that. I guess two examples. So the first example is my earlier days, because I was basically I got into the game around, I would say 19 or so. Like I mentioned earlier, I was broke, didn't have money. I was a college student, commuting, no logistics, staying in my parents' basement, and all that stuff. And I had like super strict African parents, like the kind of parents you don't bring girls back home. So basically, the odds or the deck was stacked against me, and I was basically just also majoring in computer engineering and stuff. So all that schedule, but after all that, I just kind of chose to still get into the game, and I was going out a lot. I was going out like 5 to 6 days a week, doing day game. Little success because I had to start from the bottom up because I was very introverted. I had social anxiety, and I had speech impediments and all that stuff. And I was basically just going out, just repeatedly, constantly, knowing that even though I wasn't really getting the success I was looking for, and everything, I had all the things against me. I knew that in the end, I would have that foundation to the point once I had my shit together, I would be killing it. So I ended up just doing that for years and years and years. And then after a while, I graduated college, went to grad school, finished grad school. Then once I basically got a job, and I was able to do things like get a car, get a place, the love hotel, travel. I had a very keen understanding of the game to the point I didn't really have to start from scratch, and been basically able to leverage all that and the things I do now. Like now, I'm kind of doing like some things I think are kind of next level in terms of just like trying to hack the system. I call it hacking the matrix. So just kind of trying to see how I can kind of I guess, overcome the imbalances in what you call the sexual dating marketplace. Because I'm not really a guy with everything. I'm a short black guy, African or whatever. But just kind of trying to see how I can still be on the throne. So, and
Sorry, did you say you were short?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like 5'6", five
Okay.
six.
Okay.
You know, and just I've heard so many different I guess crazy shit happen, and especially with the wings I've been, because I've gamed with all kinds of wings, not just black wings, but wings of all kinds of races. And there are times when I would see guys, and I'm like, "How's this guy doing this stuff?" Because these guys were like, they were my boys and my friends and stuff, but their game was whack, like their game was whack compared to mine. And I would see these guys. These guys would like ask for advice and like what to do. Like for example, there was this one guy. He goes out. His first ever approach. He talks to this Asian girl. He was a white guy. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, Asian girls love white guys. And he's like, no, 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 that's not true, right? I'm like, yeah, just go in there. He goes in there, stumbles in there, and the girl gives him his number and stuff, and he ends up getting a date with a girl. And I'm like, how the hell did that happen? Then fast forward, the same guy one time we were at this St. Patrick's Day bar crawl, so he's basically there, kind of like having some anxiety and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, just go in there, talk to this cute girl, whatever. He has anxiety. He's like, I don't know what to say. I should tell her this. So I'm basically there, kind of coaching him up, giving him advice. So he goes in there, does basically the things I'm telling him to do. He comes back, he's all right. She's into me, but I don't know where to go from now. I'm like, okay, go and basically see the date, get her number. He goes in there, does that. He stumbles. He comes back to me. He's like, all right, she gave me her number. It's like, what's next, And I'm basically
Oh,
coaching
wow.
this guy through the entire steps, the entire system, right? And he goes through. He ends up getting a date with a girl. The girl meets up with him. Then after some time, it hit me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm pretty because the entire time I thought like this girl would not meet up with this guy, But I was like, I can't believe she met up with this guy because the same stuff I'm coaching this guy on is stuff that's not really converting for me. That kind of hit home for me. So that's when I just kind of started to see that actually, like things like race play an influence in terms of girls being into you and all that stuff. So from there, my eyes kind of started to open, because back then I was kind of like, oh, like race has no factor at all, or looks have no factor at all. So from there, I kind of started to see reality. I started to gain doses of reality. And it wasn't until I met this other natural friend of mine. He was a game guy. He was basically like the 6'2" Polish dude, blonde hair, blue eyes, you know. But he had natural game, but he had anxiety issues. Like he had problem approaching and stuff. And I was the opposite. I had no problem approaching, but I was no natural by any means. So we kind of like we used to go out a lot, do day game in the streets and the East Coast area. Then one time we were trying to get him to do this Brad P social anxiety exercises. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. You basically go out there and do all this crazy shit, just trying to kind of, I guess, not to kind of get over the barrier of not giving a fuck what people think about you. And I'd basically gone through the entire exercises, but this guy had issues doing it. But then one time he's like, you know what, fuck this stuff. This stuff is too hard. Let me do my own thing. So he's like, I'm just gonna go around and ask girls what time it is, right? So this guy walks up to this girl, asks her what time it is, and he ends up taking her back home and smashing her. And I'm like, what the fuck, Like, how the hell is this going down? So just things like that just kind of started to open my eyes, and I began to see, I guess, the Matrix for me, and that's when I kind of started to kind of leave the community and kind of started doing my own thing. Like I started experimenting with online game and doing experiments. I'd have like split profiles, and actually, I
What?
actually ended
Sorry,
up
what type of profiles?
Split.
split profiles. So, for example, I took my profile, right, and I took my Wings profile with
Oh,
the Polish guy, the 6'2"
and
Polish
you
guy,
just
blonde hair, blue
cross
eyes.
over the pictures, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So same kind of pictures, same exact profile, like copy and pasted the text, right? And I just had the profiles there on OkCupid, and I just kind of saw what happened, and the results just kind of shocked me. They blew me out the water. This guy was basically getting like 4 messages a week or so, something like that. I forget. Basically, he was getting a shit ton of messages. My profile was getting no messages at all. It was
Yeah.
probably like one or two per month, and it was like some fat black girl who's 500 miles away. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's the thing. I think a lot of there's some people that definitely feel that it doesn't. They don't like it. Rude Boy doesn't like it. I mean,
For that,
yeah,
for that reason.
yeah. For that reason, it works for me kind of where I'm at because I have a few advantages, being that I'm British, so a lot of people, well, the black lizards are very interested in that because they've told me they don't shy away from saying either. They said they've never met someone like me. The closest embodiment they've come to that is Idris Elba, but that's on TV. So I'm like the
well, he
nearest
was alive.
equivalent. Yeah, so that's the closest. So
Yeah.
because of that, that's kind of my angle. But if I didn't have that, then definitely I don't know if that would be a good thing for me per se. So a lot of people definitely don't feel that that's the best way to really test their true value out there because you bring much more in person. Because online, it's just a static picture. They'll look and make these lazy assessments and so on and so forth. So where are you at? So
Right.
where are you at now in terms of actualization? So now you know what it is, but yet I think
Right.
you still do the online thing because now you're leveraging sugar
So
daddy,
it's,
right?
so I basically have two angles. So after I kind of discovered that, I saw that I basically couldn't just the code approach game, or the mindset wasn't really set or working for me. So I kind of left that and began basically trying to harness the Playboy lifestyle game, whereas you're basically working on your entire lifestyle. So you're not just out there just approaching repeatedly like a machine, but you're actually trying to build your stuff. So I ended up doing the video production company, and then right now I kind of do that. So it's just more of like a social. So I ended up going more into social circle game. So I was doing that. So I work with pageant queens. I can't really say exactly where, but like for example, I'm going to be filming this event for football player, a wide receiver with a pageant queen for our state. So I'm just kind of doing things like that because you could say I kind of gave up on code approach. I mean, code approach works, but I know that it's not really numbers aren't really in my favor.
So you're doing niche game basically, and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, niche. Yeah, so I would say so. Basically, my goal was to become Don Buzarian before people knew who he was.
Don who?
Don Buzarian, you guys know the Instagram Playboy.
No.
Oh, Banzerian, yeah,
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Buzarian, whatever his
yeah,
name is.
Dan doesn't, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So prior to that, because actually I read this book on Hugh Hefner, and that just kind of changed my entire mindset on how I viewed things. Because it was basically these playmates who were doing a sexual expose on his lifestyle, on his sex life, and just kind of seeing the way they talked about the things he was doing, I was like, no other guy in the game's anywhere close to this level, you know. So, and this guy's, you know, he has his own business, he's doing all this stuff. So from there, I ended up kind of following that path because I felt it
Uh,
was a
I
longer
gotta,
path.
I gotta stop you there. I gotta stop you there because I think a lot of guys. This is going to be maybe a little bit controversial, but a lot of people talk about Hugh Hefner. The Hugh Hefner Playboy experiment is along the lines of the feminist movement, where it's been put in place to program guys a certain way, and you know, let's get it straight. Those girls are with Hefner for fame and money, and he's paying them at least, I believe, at
Right,
least
right, right. Yeah,
twenty
yeah.
five hundred a month to be with them. And I think a lot of guys buy into that. I'm not saying that this is not a critique on you. This is just my opinion. I
Right,
could be
right.
wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually, a former playmate exposed him. It didn't get much coverage, but it was a couple of years ago, and they said that he actually gets off from watching gay porn. So
Yeah,
what?
I mean,
I've heard that as well.
let me lend to that, and I could definitely concur with you 100%, Rude Boy. Let me lend to that. I think that Superman, what I found in America, which is quite different from Canada. Canada is halfway, halfway. What I'm seeing from Superman, what he's doing, and what I've kind of gleaned from Miami, is that if you sell them the dream, you don't necessarily need the dream. You can skim a lot of the wannabes, bang them with that the selling of the dream. You won't necessarily get the bulk, but you don't need the bulk. It's really much how much appetite you've got, but you can get a lot of them by selling the dream. So what Superman says he does, he can be like, listen, I'm doing this, I'm gonna film this and that, I'm doing it so and so for um let's see who's one. Well, not LeBron James, that's too high. Let's talk about Kyrie Irving is gonna come in, some sex symbol athlete or something. Oh my God, you know him? Yeah, 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 yeah. I had drinks with him. They never actually know, so you can get the bang and be like, you push them off. So that's one of the leverages that one can do, and to get into that mindset, because sometimes,
But speaking to that, I have more respect for Superman than I do for Hefner and these guys, because I know Hefner was put in that position to do that, just like a lot of rich guys are put in a certain position. That this Bilzerian guy, he pays those girls. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of his.
who
I don't worship
who's
the Bilzerian
The
who's
Instagram guy.
Instagram
yeah, I
guy.
don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
You know the guy who travels with his pussycat and all these girls, and he takes pictures. And
Nah, I didn't.
he says he's supposedly a Navy SEAL and all this stuff.
Yeah, the
Big
thing,
beard.
the thing is, me having lived in Miami, I've really seen the bullshit. So
Right.
I'm not that wild, because there's people that there, they got the hottest girls, but when you look behind the scene, are those girls really with them, or are they with them because they got a table for $1,000? You know what I mean?
Right.
So the
Right.
pictures
Right.
they
Right.
take, you'll be like, oh my God. But it's like, why are they there with you? And if you've got them, so be it. But I'm not actually, I'm an adult. If I was a teenager and I've not
Yeah.
been out, wow, they got it. I want to be like that. But now I see the strings. So I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's not really what it is. And yeah, you can leverage it, because that's really what America's about. Like, there's a lot of dreams here, and there's a lot of realities, but a lot of
And
people are
it's not
looking.
only America; it's everywhere. I mean, we all leverage that to some extent,
Yeah,
and
but
even in
you
Canada.
can really leverage it here. I've seen people literally just literally say something and they can get some real fine lizards. So I've seen it with my own eyes. And like I said, with Miami, they never actually tell you to piss off because they don't know who I am. Some people have come up. Someone asked me, came up shouting. He's like, "Oh, LeBron." I was like, "I don't even look like LeBron." And he came up. He's like, "Oh shit, I thought it was LeBron." And then some other place I went with Nomad. The guy came up. He said, "Are you a former professional tennis player?" And I'm like, nah, you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is that I've actually seen that in certain places, all you need is that right golden tongue, and that night you can get yourself a real fine lizard. So that's why I kind of understand both angles. Yes, I don't believe in the wowzers about the bearded Instagram guy in Hugh, but I definitely see the angle that Superman is taking, and
I
how he's
agreed
leveraging it.
upon it. Yeah, I was just, I think a lot, everybody, I think a lot of younger guys, like you said, they talk about Hefner, Hefner, Hefner. And, I'm not a real fan of Hefner, but that's just my opinion. I'm sure some people are going to say, oh, well, you're just hating, you're hating. Well, we
So
all use what we have, right?
So who are you a fan
Right.
of? Rude boy, who are you a fan of?
I'm too old to be a fan of anybody, but
Well
yeah,
put.
I,
I'm a fan of Rude Boy and Superman. Those are my role models. I got posters of them on my wall.
Super discovered some deep hustle. And he realized that day game, and I'm with him that I don't have time or the energy to go out there and do 1,000 approaches. I just don't see the return in it. But he's basically defined a niche or different niches what works for him. And I mean, this is something that we can learn from. And again, he's East African. He's 5'6". He doesn't. He's just talking about going out there and doing his thing. He's just got that real hustler mentality with the Airbnb and all that. But it's just so it's. I'm actually looking at myself thinking, wow, this guy's overcoming the obstacles, right?
Yeah, and I think because he's in North America, I don't. He has not mentioned that he's been to Europe, and North America definitely has a certain way of looking at things where you have to exaggerate certain things. Me being from Europe, I never really had to systemize my style until I came here. So I definitely understand being here. The fact that you guys and myself really have to accentuate certain qualities in order to reap. Like Europe, you can just really just talk to the lizards, go out, talk to them, and they're down, they're down. They're not really chasing a dream in that sense like they are here.
Right, right, yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of the balance I do. So I do like the online game when I'm traveling, and locally I just kind of keep to myself and just kind of do the niche, just kind of do more of the lifestyle stuff, social circle stuff, and just kind of balance the two. Then at the same time, I also used to blog, so that's when I had to take down the blog because it was kind of affecting how high I could kind of rise in my social circle and lifestyle stuff. Like when girls find my blog, then after a while they just kind of stop contacting you and shit. So I got tired of that, so that's why I ended up making my blog private. Then after a while, just completely taking it offline.
Okay, cool.
So
So,
can I ask you a quick question? So obviously you're not American born. What as a young black guy in America, what obstacles do you see, or do you see any, or what are your thoughts?
Obstacles. I mean, I've kind of already talked about them. I mean,
No, as being black, as a young black guy in America right now in today's
today's
society, like,
society.
yeah.
I mean, just the stereotypes, like what's going on in places like Baltimore, just like the stereotype of the black guy. I mean, typically I try to overcome that just based on like the way you dress. I always like to clean up nice. I always kind of try to look things on at times. But I mean, overall, yeah, it's just more the stereotypes, trying to overcome the stereotypes of what they think a black person is. But sometimes that can be good, sometimes it can be bad. So it kind of depends. You kind of have to play it based on the situation you're in.
Yeah, they want sometimes they want to get dug out by a thug, and other times they just don't want to do business with
Yeah.
a thug. So depends on what you're going in for. Definitely, that is uh, that is something. So do you want to talk about some of your wins and losses? Because I've definitely got some tales to tell, and I'm sure Rude Boy
I
has
mean,
as well.
wins
Like,
and losses. There was a recent loss I had. It's actually here in Orlando, and I'm back. So actually, it was probably a month ago. I met this girl, this Asian girl, really hot Asian girl, and I have a thing for Asian girls. It's kind of on and off thing, but there are very few times I see an Asian girl like her, like just like big boobs and stuff, and basically, I mean, not perfect per se, but kind of like one of my ideal types of Asian girls. So I really wanted to smash her, and this is from online from the SA site, and then she so basically just basically overqualified her because I have this process where I try to overqualify girls to prior to actually meeting up with them to make sure they're not wasting my time. And she basically failed all the qualifications hoops I was throwing at her. But I was so thirsty that I ended up still chasing her because she basically told me her roommate or whatever was down to meet up, and I was basically trying to see if she was down for a threesome. So I was so thirsty chasing the threesome that I basically ignored like all the systematic principles I have. I know all these warning signs saying like this girl's not DTF, this girl's not DTF. So I tried to invite her to come straight to the bar in my hotel. She says no. So I ended up caving in and meeting her at a bar across the hotel. So we go there. We end up ordering food, and this girl orders filet mignon or whatever, right?
Oh wow.
So right off the bat, it's not a good look, right? But I still had a chance to save it because, like, basically just going through my previous experiences on going on dates and stuff, I knew that this girl was not DTF, and I was like, you know what? I should just bail right now and have her pay the check, you know. But for some reason, I still end up going against my principles and my rules, and I'm like, you know what though? Let me see what happens. Maybe there's still a chance for a threesome, right? So I ended up having dinner with them and ended up paying for the dinner. It was over $100, and I tried to bounce them back to the hotel, and as expected, they aren't down to bounce. So for me, that was kind of a loss because all the signs were there, but I decided to neglect them because I was just so thirsty, wanting to have a threesome with these two girls and stuff. So from
okay.
then, I guess the win is also a threesome.
Woo!
uh, so this was prior to Brazil. This was last year. So I go to yeah. So I go to New York City. I smash a girl there. Was a girl who ended up basically reporting me and putting me on the blacklist or whatever, and I had to lay low for a bit. But anyway, I had like this romp in DC and New York. So I smashed a girl in New York, smashed a girl in DC, and so after I smashed this girl, I flaked on her, right? So just kind of the whole thing I was talking about selling the dream. So I smashed her in the Love Hotel, and then I jumped the plane and go to Brazil for the World Cup. So for the next 2 weeks or so, she's basically messaging me on the site saying, "Hey, I didn't hear back from you. What's going on?" And I'm just kind of playing aloof, right? Not really. I still end up talking to her on the site because I'm not trying to have her tell the site that, oh, this guy just hit it and quit it, right? Because sometimes they will like block your profile if you post stuff like that. So I'm basically just kind of trying to pacify her and make sure she cools down or whatever. So I go to Brazil, have fun there for the World Cup, and I come back. Then usually, because back then I had this set principle of saying I only smash girls once and I don't meet up with them afterwards, because just to kind of save the drama. But she invites me to see her again, saying that she hears her roommate, who's also bisexual. And at first, I was kind of thinking they were trying to set me up or whatever. So I'm like, nah, that doesn't really sound good or whatever. But out of nowhere, I'm like, you know what? Let me just give it a shot. Why not? So I met her at the same place I met her for the first date, and so we go there. She brings her roommate, and her roommate is basically like shit testing the hell out of me. She's like, "Were you really in Brazil?" So I pull out my phone, show them some photos and stuff. So we hang there for about an hour and a half, just hanging out. Basically, it was basically her friend was just kind of trying to see whether I was legit, whether I was actually rich and stuff or whatever. So I'm just basically just kind of jumping her test and just kind of talking my way out of everything. Then I ask them to bounce back to my love hotel, and they're down. So we go there, and I end up smashing both of them. And I was like, oh shit, because back then I still had my set principles of not seeing girls more than once. So I ended up breaking it, and I ended up having fun. So it kind of goes both ways. So sometimes you have to stick to your principles or whatever rules you have. Sometimes you have to throw them out the window, but you can't really tell whether you're going to win or you're going to lose. Sometimes you just have to toss it up and see.
Sometimes you win some, sometimes you
Yeah.
lose some, but you live. You live to fight another day.
Yeah.
So, Rude Boy, you have any, or should I pitch in on my wins and
Yeah.
losses?
So I've got a pretty funny one. I think a few months back, I was at a club. Um, my boy was talking to this girl, short hair, blonde, white girl, and she started talking to me, and then she wanted. I want that. I want that.
Not
Hello.
me. No, not
Yeah,
me.
yeah. So yeah, somebody was texting me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, I was at this club, met this girl. My boy was talking to her. She came up. She was talking to us as a group. She looked. She looked at me and basically, she wanted this. Do I want to dance? And this is late in the night. I said, no, I don't want to dance. And then she came. She went and danced with my friend and some of her girlfriends, and came back and sort of was hanging, close to me, whatever. So I was just in a weird mood. I looked at her and I said, I don't have my phone, which I had it in my pocket, but it was too dark and I was just too lazy to pull it out and stuff. So I said, why don't you go to the bar, get a pen, and give me your number? Sure, she goes to the bar, gets a pen, writes down her number, and then I'm talking. And I actually said to her, what are you doing later? I think I said, well, what are you doing tomorrow? But I think she took it as, what are you doing later? And then she told me some story about, she had to, after the club, she had to go home and I guess let out her dog for a walk or whatever. So, right there was a buying signal there because she was down for doing something after the club. But again, I was driving and was there with my boys and stuff like that. So I let it go. So, anyways, got the number, texted, everything went well. Met for a date. And then it turns out she's a hardcore feminist. She tells me that on the date, she tells me she's a feminist and she's just talking, she's doing most of the talk, and I call it Pareto law, like 80-20, and 80-20,
Right.
you know.
Okay.
So she's talking, 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 and she's a feminist, she's short, the short blonde hair, da 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 da, and it's just, the bill comes and she says, we're gonna split it. And I said, no, I don't. I said, I don't split bills. So she got offended, and she says, oh, okay, next time. And I'm like, well, I said, if there's a next time. So she really got offended by that. So dropped her off, and she's asking me what I'm doing now. And I said I had to go get something to eat. So she wanted to come, so we came. But the vibe there wasn't. Her vibe wasn't really. She's a nice looking girl and everything. The vibe, the whole feminist vibe, she was like strong feminist. Had her PhD and all that kind of stuff, and she was just sort of forcing that down my throat. So there was nothing feminine about it. There was nothing. It was just like almost like two dudes talking.
Yeah.
Anyway, second date, yeah, and this is basically, I think on my part was just taking too long. But second date, we went out. She paid for it, and then we went for a walk, and basically, she's telling me her life story, and it's just problems after problems after problems. So I'm thinking this date is a loss. I'm going to drop this girl off, and basically it's a waste of time. Get back to her place. I've never been up to her place. She goes, "Do you want to come up?" So we go up, and she lives in a studio, which is kind of handy because she's on the bed and I'm on a chair. And she's talking. And at this point, it's almost 90% she's doing all the talking and blah blah blah. And the sky is falling. And this guy she knows, he was given $80,000 to buy a condo. It's all this, you know, what do you call it? Victim mentality. What do you call it, Moma?
I don't even know. It just sounds like hype talk to me, man. I just when I hear that stuff, I just try and focus on what I'm trying to get, cause I ain't trying to hear
Hey,
that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hear your life story and all that. So, anyways, I just said to her, the only thing I said to her is, "Why don't you come over here and sit on me on the on?" It was like a single seat armchair. She came and pretty much attacked me, and then we got it on and we did the deed and all that. So I guess that was a win, but lessons learned there. Sometimes that didn't have to be 2 dates. I probably could have got that the same night if I had been more focused or didn't drink too much and whatnot. Um, Now the loss, I think Moma, you know about this loss. It was a black chick I met at the same club. Really nice black girl, face, body, booty, everything. And it's just like, wow, this is the one, right? This is the Mrs. Rude Boy, right? So yeah, and I guess like Superman, I did the dating, went and bought dinner. Went on like I think I went on like 3 dinner dates, and obviously people say that's a no-no, but it worked out well. I liked her company. She was a nice girl, complete uh, contradiction to the first one, and everything was going well. And then on the third day, she starts making these sexual references. Am I looking at her ass and stuff like that? So, I'm happy to be on a date with her. I'm happy to be going with the flow. So we drive. I drive to a park, and we sit in the back. Gets hot and heavy, and she's dressed nice. I'm dressed nice, and she looks at me and she wants to go in the bushes and do the dirty.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm like, nah, I ain't down with that. You know what I mean?
Come on, bruh.
I just wasn't down with that. You know what I mean? Like, I think I was wearing white jeans or something. It was summertime, right? It was hot, right? And I just wasn't down with it. And I guess she took it the wrong way, and it was just pretty much a pin out of a balloon. And lost the bang. And afterwards, nope, the vibe, everything. When I texted her, no quick responses, and it was just a loss, right? And I guess lesson learned. Sometimes if they want to do it in the bushes, you got to do it in the bushes. You got to be ready, right? Always be
Yeah.
ready, right? So,
Yeah, that's the key.
Right.
Like ABR, always be ready. Like you just take them jeans off or roll them up, man, and just what I mean, sully up your knees, wipe them off with a damp cloth, and that's it, man. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I kind of know what you're talking about. I think it also goes. I think you're telling about one of your friends, but I think it goes really to the energy and desire. Like some people are down to drill no matter what. They're down to drill a lizard no matter what. And those of us who, I'm kind of a little laid back as well. And I think that's cost me in certain senses. So I can go into a loss that I remember. There's a certain, I'm going to say would I say it's a tribe? Or should I go into that intensity? But there's just a group that I've never really gotten into. Maybe because me where I grew up, there wasn't a lot of them. But I've always wanted that flag, and I've never gotten that flag. And I had the opportunity because every time this is in Toronto, every time I'd be there, I'd go out during summertime, and we go to these African festivals. So that's when I'll just go wild and just like just talking to bear lizards, just trying to like just like you're going shopping, you're trying to put everything in your basket in your trolley at once. You're getting bananas, grapefruit, oranges, everything. So that's where I really do a wide scope. But yeah, this lizard, I was talking to her, like I saw her, and I said, "How you doing, Ray Ray Ray?" Just my same old London style. That's all I know, and I think that's my strength. Just go in hard and just spit. So when Ray 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 talking to her, she was like, you know, what I found with this when they're with their peeps, you really have to separate them from the herd. You know what I mean? If they're with the herd, it's not really they don't really have that vibe. So I spoke to her. I said, "Yeah, let me get your number." She was like, "Nah, you give me yours," which is kind of like a distraction. I don't like giving my number out because I'm not sure that they really call. I like to control the interaction. So I said, "Yeah, yeah, I'll give you my number." So I said, "Give me your phone. Let me type it in for you." So I typed it in and I hit call. So I was like, "Now I got your number." She's like, "Oh, that was sneaky, but well done." So I was like, "Cool." So yeah, 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 blah blah blah. Spoke to her, tried to get. I went out on a date. I only really do one date. The second one in Toronto's got to be at my place because they're just time wasters, and I pretty much learned that. But let's cut a long story short. I eventually ran some kind of psychology game on her, and she came to my place. I lived very close to the line, the subway line, and pubs and stuff, so it's easy to get them in. So I got her there, said cook something. I cooked her up some curry chicken, and she was there. But her body language was very it was very like stale, stiff, and I'm one of my weaknesses, or maybe it's a strength. Like I have to feel that they want it. If they're stiff, I some guys will just like tear everything or they don't care. She could be rigid, they're going in, but I'm really not that type. So it was stiff, and I'm like, yeah, it's almost like I got a hostage. But I was just like, come here, you know what I mean? Let me give you a kiss. So I kissed her, and I was thinking, should I take her jeans off? But there was no response to it. So long story short, kissed her, rare, 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 so on and so forth. Eventually it ended, she had to go home. And I thought, okay, next time I'm gonna go hard because I was thinking about it, and she didn't come back the next time, and that would have been a good flag and a good bang. But I didn't get it because I'm just not good with if their body language is cold. I mean, one method that I thought of and that I put on the forum is just whip it out. Sometimes that changes the whole dynamics of the interaction because it really puts them at a certain point. If you whip it out, it's gonna be
Yeah, that
like,
works. That is so money right there.
I can't
That's
fly
like
because
that's
I'm
that's like
standing, but Superman seems to have used that a few times.
no, like that's basically part of my game now because it cuts through so much bullshit. Like you bring the girl back, right? You take time trying to escalate, trying to take off her top, trying to take off her pants. But actually, I discovered this because I was trying to smash a girl in the office, right? And so I was basically in the office, and there's basically no room. So I'm like, here, just go on your knees, and I just pulled it out. So since then, I kind of been using that tactic, and it works like money, because it basically puts the girl on the spot. She's like, either yes or no right now, and there's a shot clock, right? I like the whole shot clock philosophy, where a girl has to basically put her cards out there within a given amount of time, and when you do that, it's typically like 5 seconds or so. So you know whether or not she's bullshitting. And
yeah,
if the girl's kind of hesitant, I'll just kind of cheer her on and be like, "Hey, it's cool, don't be afraid, Just open your mouth." So, but I'll say,
Like,
yeah, that's an awesome tactic.
but you know what I find when you do that too, the slutty girls they respond to it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You want them. I mean, they're there. Let's be honest. Like if you think of all the, I've had a lot of dates, and a lot of them have flopped. But I think a lot of them may be due to me not really realizing it on a passive aggressive front. But they're like when you say slutty, I mean if they're gonna sleep with you at some point. They're not hanging out with you just to what I mean share novels that you've both read. So you bringing it out as Superman says, you really setting an ultimatum. No, I'm not really like that. Okay, cool, no problem. Let's finish this drink and I've got some stuff to do and I'll catch you around. Next. That's pretty much how it must go. Or they're gonna waste your time and but you're gonna be spending money on dinner and really interacting with someone that's not necessarily that interested. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I see it in that. If I speak about a win, I had a lizard and I try and work out, so I think my body's decent. I got a decent body, and I realized, so at some point in the game that one can seal a lot of deals by exhibiting a physique if it's a decent physique. Um, you know what I mean? Like guys don't realize, and it always comes up in the weightlifting thread. Like rare, rare, rare. I see buff guys sitting in the corner doing nothing. I know that it works. I know that women like a good body. You know what I mean? So I had this lizard. I didn't have a lot of. My situation wasn't the best at that time. I was still new to the country, still trying to get on my feet, and we were back in my place. I was renting a room, and we were watching some TV. I had a TV that I think someone gave to me, so it's a really shitty old TV, big back TV, all that. And we're there. I'm not really sure where the interaction was going, so I took my sweater off and I had a vest on underneath. And like I said, my physique's pretty decent, so it it's like whipping it out, but it's not as raw. But it's in the same. It's the same foundation. It kind of sets. It piques interest. So he's like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? Rare, this and that. And I didn't know that you were, you had that. And yeah, she was like, what do you want to do? And I said, we could mess around a little bit, and I got the slam from that. So that was a win for me, in that sense. And like I said, the key to that really was, setting a bit of an ultimatum. It's not as blatant or not as absolute as whipping out the Johnson, but it's 75% there. You know, what I mean, if you got the
Yeah.
right body, if you got a basic body, then it's really not. I don't know if it does much, but if you've got a basic body, better to whip out the Johnson. If you got a decent body, you can go and whip your frame out or show your physique, and it won't look as blatant. And
But I
that
got a question. But I got a question. Suppose you got a basic Johnson.
and the basic body, then you gotta tie some weights to your basic Johnson, let that shit stretch until it becomes beyond basic. Start tying some cement blocks to that shit. Let that shit hang for like a minute. You know what I mean? A minute
Basic Johnson's
every
there.
3 times a day, and it will become beyond basic, and then you'll start to get more wins. And
I gotta go in the garage right now.
that's kind of how it goes. So that's pretty much it for the wins and losses. I mean, we could go on for a long time, but so much to talk about. But definitely, Superman's got some hoes to to deliver or whatever, lizards to render. So I don't want to hold him up
Yeah.
too much. So yeah, without any further, I guess we're going to conclude this interview. So it was great having you aboard. I think it was pretty short notice. Kind of caught you in transit
Yeah.
as well. But
Thanks for having me.
yeah, lovely
Thanks
having
for
you
coming on.
aboard. And yeah, Rude Boy, you want to wrap it up? Anything else you got to say? Or
No, it's thank you for coming on. Yeah, you dropped some gems on me. Actually, you got me. I'm headed to the gym, and I'm gonna be scratching my head thinking about maybe I should join Seeking Arrangement Game.
yeah, man, step your
Uh,
step your suit game up and your
yeah,
ties and your pocket square and all them things there.
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah,
All
it's a
right.
whole different ball game,
Yeah,
whole different world.
definitely.
Thank you,
So
Superman.
yeah, Superman. So thank you for coming aboard, and have a good one, and we will talk.
All right,
Peace.
I'll talk to you guys later.
All right.
Cheers.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Thanks.